Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra Vasquez. I am a senior content marketing specialist here at G2. Today, I am joined by Adam Brown, founder and president of Sircle Media. Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to chatting with Adam today about all things digital marketing, automation, artificial intelligence, and software, and more. But before we jump in too deep, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you, Adam. What initially sparked your interest in the field of digital marketing, and how did that passion lead you to start your own company?
So two-part question. The first part is I'm just old. I'm 46, so I graduated during the dot-com boom. And so that was like 1999. And so if you weren't in grad school and you weren't like an investment banker and you lived in New York, you probably worked at some sort of internet advertising company. So I worked at 24/7 Media, which is like the first ad network. It was like them and DoubleClick, where we sold advertising for websites on the internet. And we represented 5,000 websites. And so I don't know that I was passionate about that, getting into it, and I was working in sales. I was definitely passionate about sales. So that really sparked my career. And I actually did a stint outside of digital marketing and social for about 9 years. But I was drawn back to it because I really like helping brands and businesses figure out marketing solutions. And that's what got me here today. And so to answer your second part, I really wanted to create an anti-agency. I think most people hate agencies, sometimes for a good reason. There's a lot of jilted lover syndrome in the market where they've dated and they've had bad experiences, but they need to date again because you sort of need help on the marketing front. And I just wanted to create like a Four Seasons level service agency that actually cared and treated clients well. So that's what I decided before I even chose social media. And then social media was just so obvious to me that that was something that brands would never figure out internally and they would need an agency for it. And that's how I started Sircle.
That's amazing. I think it's really cool that you started your company on the prospect of kind of doing things completely differently than you were used to. So how did you kind of implement and prioritize those principles and values when building and nurturing your team?
So I created your standard core values, which we still read every year, and we still have like front and center for all of our employees. We even created like a employee of the month award, which is called Shape. That basically, it's not just who like worked the hardest, but it's the one that exhibits the core values of our company. But it started with that. Like I really wanted growth mindset, not people that just say it, but people that actually do it. Growth mindset oriented people that believe in a meritocracy. If they do good work, good things happen. And that were like maniacal about servicing clients. Not everyone is. A lot of people like jobs. People might even like social media, but they might hate taking care of clients, which is not always easy. Client services is tough. So we really look for people that can like geek out about that and understand there will be problems and bumps along the way, but are interested in learning how to navigate that. And you can only really do that with somebody who's even tempered, that knows how to have balance, that understands and has empathy. And so these are the things that are really important to our agency. And they start from the day we start interviewing somebody. Our philosophy, or I guess my philosophy from hiring people, is I'd rather get the character and teach them the skills than hire for skills. Because sometimes somebody who knows a lot about what you do might just be a terrible human. I'd rather have a good human and then teach them the right way on how we do things.
I love that. I think that's a great approach to really building a team that works together as people first before they work together as employees. I think that's a really great way to start a foundation. So kind of shifting gears a little bit more towards the businessy side of the convo and touching on artificial intelligence, how does your company adapt its marketing strategies to accommodate changes in algorithms and automations when it comes to social media and digital marketing?
So I'll answer the back half first on just like platforms and algorithms. Actually, I guess it applies to AI also. Like what we do at Sircle Media is we're like an outsourced staffing solution. We're almost more staffing agency than marketing agency. So what we're saying is it's impossible to find one social media manager that can run your social. A lot of brands think it's one person. It's just not. So they outsource to us. And part of our responsibility is to have our ear to the grindstone and understand what's coming and understand how tools can be used to allow our clients to be early movers and have the benefits that come from it. So when algorithms are changing, we're always keeping an eye on, what's the next social network? Is there a social network? Right now, Threads is very relevant. So like, what is Threads all about? Let's secure your handle. Let's understand a philosophy. Let's let the dust settle. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, it was crazy. It sort of has calmed down a little bit. And then figure out like, how can a brand execute here? And then whether or not a brand should be putting a lot or none or a little bit of time towards it. And I think that when brands hire internally, they're always late because Jane Doe internally, if they spend a lot of time researching Threads, they're not doing their day job. If they're doing their day job, they're not paying attention to Threads or YouTube Shorts or whatever it might be. So you really need that external solution that has the ability and the time to do that on behalf of the brands. So same with AI. I think a lot of people some people hate the idea of AI. They think it's coming for their jobs. I am a big believer, and I'm pragmatic in my approach to how I live life, is that like the internet wasn't really a thing that was relevant until I graduated college, and look where it is now. And people that have graduated later are like, I can't imagine a time when there was no internet or cell phones, and things evolved. So now, the way we implement it here is AI really allows you to do a lot of prompts, allows you to write a lot of great copy. We only work in the better for you food and beverage space. So sometimes AI knows better than our social media manager, who might be amazing at understanding like why the vegan diet is good for you. So you can ask ChatGPT or something else, and it'll give you a bunch of reasons. And it doesn't mean you just use it and automate it. It might be, most of these are really basic and not important, but like 3 of these were like so compelling. I never thought that that's a reason for the vegan diet. So it allows us to optimize and expedite sort of like the mundane tasks, so that we can then focus and more time and attention on the more nuanced tasks, which I don't think AI really excels at just yet.
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of is the perfect segue to my next question, which a lot of companies outside of marketing even have kind of at the top of their brains now, which is, do you think an AI could ever fully replace, specifically like in your industry, a marketing agency, or do you think it'll just continue to make things more efficient?
I think it'll definitely make things more efficient. And I think it can definitely replace a lot of like the Tom, Dick, and Harry marketing agencies that in my 11 plus years doing this, like pop up, that are very niche, like, pay us $999.99 a month, and we will generate for you 12 graphics and infographics for use on social. Like that can now be automated probably today. And certainly as it evolves, like that's a better use of your time, and then as opposed to your funds. But the fully nuanced, layered thinking that goes along with not just the tool, but how to use the tool and how to leverage the different tools and the different social networks and platforms, you still need a chief. And so it goes back to our staffing solution makes sense no matter what the call to action or call to arms is, like what has to be done. You still need an equipped person to be able to leverage it. And so we still provide that in an outsourced capacity. So as far as like replacing what we do, I'm not concerned about it. As far as causing confusion around brands and consumers, that's a different story. So I feel like there'll probably be more and more pressure on us to be able to sort of not fight that, but be able to at least rebut that and have a conversation around it. Will probably increase, but that's okay. I like the discourse. I like to have the conversation about it. I think it all nets with like, wow, once again, so thankful and grateful that we have a team like Sircle Media in our corner. But we'll see. Can it ever? I don't know. Can't say never about anything. You don't know how things are going to go. But as things evolve and change, I think we'll be on the ready, and our clients will benefit as a result.
Yeah, I think that's a good outlook on it. And while you're implementing this automation and AI into your industry, how do you prioritize transparency and trust with your clients?
So we're part of like our original foundation, like I mentioned earlier, is it's all transparent. Like there's no tomfoolery and tricks, which I think agencies sometimes, I don't know why they do this, but sometimes do. Like everything is transparent. Here's what's AI, here's what's happening. Yes, we're using AI to write some of our prompts. Yes, you loved your subject line from your email last week. Well, that was generated by AI and not by Jennifer. Like we're very clear about that. And I think our clients like that. I think a little bit, they kind of like want to be in the AI mix. And so they're like, but I don't know anything about it. So Sircle, if you're using it and we're leveraging it, that's kind of cool. And so we're transparent across the board. Our philosophy is good news fast, bad news twice as fast. So if something comes up, we've always just been like open and honest, which I think leads to just a more warm and fuzzy and comfortable relationship between vendor and client.
Thank you so much. That's a great way of explaining it, kind of making sure that that transparency is there before there's concern, I think is a way to approach that. So kind of shifting gears to more general tech in the digital marketing industry. As you know, G2 is all about software. So I'd love to hear from you kind of what software that you guys love to use that keeps you productive and efficient, both internally and for your clients.
I mean, we work on the Google Suite internally. We've been using Asana for the last 6 or 7 years for project management internally, mostly around content creation, because that's a big part of what we do. We have 52 employees, about half of them are content creators. So that's how we manage those tasks. But Asana is really project management. We use Trello for content conversations and sharing with the client, where we're able to build out content weeks. And then over the years, we've looked at and dabbled with every kind of SaaS platform and software, that comes on the market. And it's sort of like our job, because if a brand comes to us like, hey, we want an influencer SaaS platform. What do you know about Grin? We need to know Grin versus Tagger versus Julius, but we need to know all of them. So I used to do them a lot. I don't have to do them anymore. That's the luxury of growing. So we use a lot of different platforms, and sometimes actually a client comes in with, hey, we already use Sprout Social, or we already use this. Can you use that? And the answer is like, yeah, we may tell you that it's a waste of money. You don't need it. But for the most part, we might end up, and I might even not know right now that there's like 20 different platforms that someone on my team is managing because the client already had it. But those are the ones that we use here. We use Julius actually for our influencer software platform. And we had used Grin before that, and we had used Tagger before that. So we sort of evolved around, always looking for like the right tool for us. But we're always looking for things that can like expedite the process so it doesn't have to be so manual. And so that's why we try to focus there. We're also mindful on cost, right? A lot of our brands are early stage brands. So whether it's us in service of them or recommendations we're making for them, we also have to take into like account what is the upside and the value of they're looking for, and is that commensurate with the cost of the platform? I'm trying to think if there's other ones that I'm not mentioning now, but those are the core ones that we work with here.
Thank you. That's awesome. And to close us out with the last question, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your general learnings as a leader in the industry. So I'd love to know what kind of advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to venture into the world of digital marketing?
And starting their own companies, you mean, as entrepreneurs?
Yes.
First, rethink it. It's not always great for everyone. I think most people do it for the wrong reasons. But for me, it's the only way to be. And I definitely worked for other people at times in my life. For me, I've learned that I really want to be able to control my own destiny as best that I can. And I think the best way to do that is by being the decision maker. I also see myself as like a teacher, mentor type of a person. So I really geek out on it. I have friends that are like, why would you want to have 50 employees, age 33 and down, that are like young in their career and probably lots of HR and headaches? Like, why would you want that? And I'm like, I actually really enjoy that. So I think if you're an entrepreneur that wants to build something that's built to last, like something that can do meaningful revenue, that's probably going to mean a lot of employee management. So I think I've met people that are like, no, I want to run something big, but I don't want to have any employees. And it's like, all right, then you need to figure out how big can that get on your own. I don't know. So I think it's really important to like lay out, like, where do you want to go? And I'm not a 5-year, 10-year plan person, because I know what I like to do and that's what I do. But if you were asking me for advice one-on-one and not on like an interview that other people would hear, I would say like, what do you want to have happen? And then reverse engineer from that. So could you see yourself managing 50 people and flying them all in for a Christmas party in December like we are? Because that's something that I worked on today. And if they're like, absolutely not, that sounds terrible, then you shouldn't go that route. I also think it's really important that you geek out about what you're doing. So I think some people think what they're doing is being an entrepreneur. No. If you choose the tactic to be an entrepreneur in that, the goal is, what is the business that you're in? So I know some entrepreneurs that are sort of languishing right now, and they're like, Adam, to be honest with you, I hate what I do, and I'm going to go in a different direction. Well, that's not going to really bode well when times get tough, like in a market we're in right now. And so you have to really, really enjoy what you do, and it has to have meaning for you to be able to be an entrepreneur and show up every day and do your best work. And I think people have it twisted and do that a little bit backwards. So I would just think long and hard about that before they do it. Also, I would say, if I was 26 and younger and thinking about it, I would choose the industry I think I want to be in, and then I would go work for a great entrepreneur or a great company in that business to get a feel if I really dig that business and learn what I like and what I do not like about how that other person runs the business, to help give me a playbook so that I can sort of like take a sneak peek before I jump in. I think that's a really good hack to learn it. And then you can do it a little bit on someone else's dime as opposed to going all in, which can be very scary.
I want to thank you so much, Adam, for joining me and for having this conversation. Genuinely, this was an amazing conversation. I personally learned a lot, so I want to thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.